in Real Betis 4-2, and honestly on a normal day you would hear a match reaction or some variation of that, but today it's all about one man, Lamine Yamal. He's trending on Twitter right now because, he's just that big of a player. We're talking about one of the best talents that I've seen coming from La Masia over the last 2 decades, right? This quote, I think, pretty much sums it up. Lamine Yamal wasn't great compared to 16-year-olds. He was great compared to the other players on the field. Special game for all of Lamine Yamal, Torres, Felix, and Isco. Never watch Barca Betis if you love high-level defending. This pretty much sums up the game, I would say, as a whole, but it also sums up Lamine Yamal. He was not just a player that performed well because, he was a 16-year-old, people like 16-year-old playing football and how they perform. This is because he was amazing. He was phenomenal from the first minute to the last minute. And we look at Lamine Yamal, look at these stats right here. 1 assist, 3 shots, hit the post twice, 3 key passes, 58 touches, 5 dribbles completed, and 11 duels won. Now, if you guys think about Rafinha, what do we always say? He's a guy that will consistently give you defensive output. That's his best quality, arguably, along with his crossing and final ball. Lamine Yamal gives you that. He gave you the defensive presence today. He gave you 5 whole dribbles completed, and he gave you 58 touches as well in a game. He's involved. He's consistent. He's always a threat when he's on the ball. And honestly, it's incredible what we saw from Lamine Yamal today. I think often we see some really good players, but he is absolutely incredible. Lamine Yamal, what a talent we have at hand. And often you hear generational footballers, people say it all the time. They said it about Fermin Lopez. They say about pretty much all of our talented generational footballers. But to be quite honest, if there's one generational footballer, truly generational footballer, it is Lamine Yamal. What an absolutely incredible player. We're going to have him for decades, hopefully, as long as he continues extending his contract and everything. You never know with Barcelona, but he is absolutely incredible. And with a run like that in the 94th minute, with such an incredible pass as well. Look at this here. This was in the first half. It's been too long since I've seen my right wing dummy 2 to 3 players at the edge of the box, create a ton of space, and then whip a curler toward at the top of the corner. Now, if you read that sentence right here, who does that remind you of? Well, if you've watched football and watched Barcelona for long enough, that is reminiscent of Messi. And I don't want to easily just throw those comparisons because it's a very cliche thing to do. Just be like, you see a right winger at Barcelona from La Masia, you compare them to Messi. I don't want to do that. But to be honest, this is the closest we're going to get to a Messi region at this club. One that La Masia created, this is the closest we're ever going to get. And what's incredible with Lamine Yamal is that he's really been touted as the savior for pretty much his whole youth career. Even when he was 12, 13, 14, 15, we've always known about his talent. But for him to still consistently perform, completing dribble after dribble at the top level of football, it's absolutely incredible. And if we look at the game as a whole, we have to talk about Ferran Torres. Absolutely incredible. He's one of those talents where you watch him and you're like, what exactly does he have on the ball? Because he honestly lacks so much. He lacks technical quality at times. He's so inconsistent. But he's the perfect role model for hard work and dedication. You see him pretty much every single day focusing on how much hard work he's putting after the match. And to see him get 4 GA in one of the toughest stadiums in the world, being the Benito Villamarín, and to go and perform as well as he did, it's incredible. And this is his 100th match. He says here, it's my 100th match with Barca as well. I can't believe I scored a hat-trick. I have to enjoy it. And the thing is, he has to enjoy it. He says it here as well, you must be mentally prepared to play for Barca. It is the best team in the world. And I think Xavi mentioned this earlier on in his press conference, but in order to play for Barcelona, technical quality is very important. How mentally prepared you are is obviously very important, but the most important thing is whether that player is mentally prepared to play for Barcelona as well. We've seen some great players fail here because they don't have the mental, preparations to actually do this. Ferran Torres, above all the other players in this team, has done that. From the first minute, he has struggled. He's had so many inconsistencies. In his first season, if you actually remember, Ferran against Napoli, he was actually seen crying because he found it very difficult in that game against Napoli. This was the game, this return leg, did really well. But the first time at the Camp Nou against Napoli, he found it very difficult. Now look at this. This was a tweet from March 26, 2022. And if you guys remember, this is actually following El Clasico when we beat them 4-0 2 years ago. But it says, Ferran has had a tough start at Barcelona, but he had the will to succeed and work hard for it. He shed tears versus Napoli, but that was the release of pressure. Xavi, Busquets in the dressing room supported him a lot. The Elche game was a turning point. From the first minute, we're talking about his first season at the club, he struggled. He found it very difficult to adapt to the team. But what did he do? He did not sink like a lot of the other players in this club's history, he decided to believe, he decided to do better himself. I'm very strong mentally, I believe in myself. This is what he's done, and this is why Ferran Torres is a unique player. Do I think he's good enough for Barcelona? To be honest, a lot of the time, I don't think he's good enough because he doesn't consistently give you that output. But what he is a person that will continuously work hard. And this is why I actually agree with his Domagoy tweet right here. Felix, Ferran, Lamine is Barcelona's strongest forward line. This is the truth. Felix provides you that bit of unpredictability. There's no way I'm going to call him a consistent footballer because he's quite literally the opposite of consistent. You don't know what you're going to get from him the week after a really good performance from him. He's just completely inconsistent. You're going to find that with Felix. We don't know where his mental state really is. But what he does offer you is that creative passing, that unpredictability, and just that X factor. Then you have Ferran Torres, and he oftentimes doesn't really give you the finishing that you want. He's a very unpredictable player, and he's not like Felix where he can give you that moment of magic. Technically, he won't do that, but what he will do is continuously work hard, give you that defensive effort, and his movement will always be top. And then you've got Lamine Yamal, and to be quite honest, he will be the front and center of this Barcelona team for decades to come. Whoever we sign, he will be that key player. He will be that Galactico, ironically, in this Barcelona team. And he will be part of this Barcelona front line for until Xavi is here, of course, and way after that. 16 years of age. People don't easily remember this, but 16 years of age, and he is consistently putting out excellent performances in this club. I mean, what exactly could you want? Look at this. 5 successful dribbles, 3 chances created, 2 post hit, and assist, 11 out of 14 duels won. He's not even physically in his best state right now. He's still very much a kid. You look at him right here. Do you see an adult? Absolutely not. You see a kid. And even despite that, despite all of these things, he's still playing at such a high level. What more could you expect? And this, I think, is so important that we have to mention. They can all blow hot and cold at times, but functionally, key word here, they give you a great blend of technical quality, lethality, off and on the ball movement, and magic. They give you that perfect combination between all the different things that you would need in one front line. And is it the best front line in Europe? I mean, obviously not. You look at Real Madrid's, way more versatility, obviously probably all more talented, especially over Ferran Torres. But what you see with this front line is they're hardworking. They could pretty much all play in each other's positions, which is both a negative and a positive. But you would see Felix moving centrally, Ferran moving to the left, Lamine moving to the left, Felix potentially even coming to the right. Ferran can also come onto the right. So you have players that are very versatile, can play in a number of positions, and they offer exactly what you want from this Barcelona team at the moment. And obviously the main player that we do have to talk about, which I haven't, I've tried not mentioning, is Robert Lewandowski, because to be honest, this was not very good. You see, look at this tweet here. This was a further confirmation of how Lewandowski's presence prevents Barca from progressing. Subbing him off and introducing Roque showed the big difference in how the team flows in the final third. Robert had the best conditions possible. And this is absolutely true. You look at all these tweets. This team has outgrown Lewandowski. Ferran retired Lewandowski today. Good subs by Xavi tonight, taking off Lewandowski, who's underperforming. 0 shots and 5 passes in 63 minutes. Like, this is not a footballer who is, contributing to our build-up and just not scoring. That's fine. That's what you normally get from players like Ferran Torres. He doesn't offer you any movement. He offers you nothing on the ball. He offers you practically nothing off the ball. And he's just not very good anymore. And you can look at it and be like, it's a blip. He did, of course, score a really good goal in El Clasico. People are going to point that out. But let's be honest. That was good technique. It was a good goal. But this is over for him. He's no longer a player that we can rely on at the top level. And you go look at something like this, Lewandowski, and you go look at his salary at Barcelona. He's earning currently, this was his salary last year, 23 million euros, right? And you look at it this week, 400,000 is his current salary. And we actually have a very specific contract with him at Barcelona next year, which says that he could actually potentially leave the club if he's actually paying a certain salary. So this is what we actually get as some information. And it is quite true that he could actually leave the club, I'm not sure where it is, if he doesn't play 50% of the available games at Barcelona. So it just shows what we're currently facing with Lewandowski is a very difficult situation. And you look at this, right? Roque on for Lewandowski, 30 minutes to go, great sub. Last year, same time last year, would you have ever seen Lewandowski going off the field 30 minutes before the end of the match when we're struggling? No. But with this season, Xavi has come to that realization that he just doesn't provide you that same kind of output. And that's just something we have to realize. Lewandowski could still be a very useful asset. I think people are, not really valuing this. But when you have an 18-year-old and you have a 35-year-old, you have that 35-year-old there to help train the 18-year-old, to make sure that they're able to properly adapt to Barcelona and this style of play. And that's exactly what Lewandowski will give you. But the problem, on the other hand, is his salary, right? Sure, it's all nice to have an 18-year-old doing very well, but the salary is not very good. He came in with a very low salary in his first season, only 9 million net for the best striker in the world. But following his progress, you can see that now his salary will increase, and that's going to be a huge problem for Barcelona. Now, the other thing people are going to obviously mention, which I do think is important to mention, is Vitor Roque. And I think Roque was very good. Again, this is a tweet that I do agree with. I think that drawing any conclusions on Roque based on his current sample size is stupid. I'll wait until next season to actually pass judgment. This is what I think is very important, because Vitor Roque obviously didn't have the best of games. I think we can all agree with that. But what he did, which I think is not something that we've seen with Lewandowski even, is his movement. He constantly moves in behind. He's not one of those players that's static like Lewandowski, practically in the same position the whole game, only drops deep occasionally, doesn't really contribute. You can't say that about Roque. His defensive output will obviously be really good. That's one of his main strengths. And most importantly, his movement, I felt today, was very, very good, because Barca doesn't score either of his goals. Okay, Vitor Roque, you have until next game to... Okay, great movement. It's not the only reason we brought... Okay, look, I think the underlying thing that we can all see here is Vitor Roque's movement and decisiveness is key. Now, the reason why I go back to this very important tweet here is Lewandowski's presence prevents Barca from progressing. Subbing him off and introducing Roque showed the big difference in how the team flows in the final third. Flow. So important for Barcelona, because if you look at it, he's obviously a little bit nervous. He's obviously a little bit scared. He's moving from a small team in Brazil to one of the biggest clubs in the world of football, right? So it's going to be difficult for him to adapt. You saw his touches, not great. You saw his finishing, not ideal at this moment. But what he does have is that movement. To find he created, let's remember, 2 chances the first time he was subbed on when Barcelona were again in a difficult position on his debut. He did really well, got into 2 incredible positions. Even in the games in the Copa del Rey, he did an absolutely incredible job. Obviously, I think the Supercopa could have helped with some continuity, but what we continuously see with Roque is his movement. He's an absolutely phenomenal player. He has all the right kinds of movement to be successful. And I honestly think that as a player, we're going to really start appreciating Roque very, very soon. Maybe he doesn't bring you that finishing immediately like Lewandowski did when he first came into the club, but what he will do is ensure that we are able to properly succeed as a team in the long run, because his movement will always be there. He'll always be a threat in behind, and it'll be a really, really good performance. Now, Cancelo has actually tweeted on he's commented on Instagram and said, "Come on, my kid, let them talk. Nothing beats talent." Again, supporting Joao Felix. That's really nice to see here. And Ferran Torres has decided to speak after the match. He said, quote, "We know they were going to push, but the team showed its face, and that's why we took the 3 points. Today I play 100 games for Barca, and you can't ask for anything more. It's Betis at Villamarin. They were going to push and have chances. The team takes a step forward. They score 2 goals against us, and the team shows its face and takes 3 points. And he said, this is Barca, one of the biggest clubs in the world. You have to be prepared. Not everything is pretty. There's a lot of criticism. You're in the media spotlight, and you have to be prepared for this." How many times do you hear players actually come out and say this? They either directly go and criticize the fans, or they find some way of deflecting the blame. But what he does is he recognizes that Barca is one of the biggest clubs in the world. He knows that he has to be prepared, and he continues to work. Works hard. It's all about the fruit of work, discipline, perseverance, and believing in yourself. What a perfect player to have on this team. I don't think he'll ever be a true starter for this team just because of his inconsistencies, but what he is a player that we can rely on as, at the bare minimum, a bench option. And you look at today's game, what a performance from Barcelona. Again, Lamine Yamal, absolutely incredible. Ferran Torres, incredible. Joao Felix, another goal off the bench, another good performance off the bench. You see a good team camaraderie with Cancelo on Instagram as well. Beautiful performance for the most part. Beautiful team performance. And most importantly, let's remember, Barcelona will have to face a certain Athletic Club on Wednesday the 24th here. It will be a difficult game. We are talking about a very good Athletic Club side. They lost to Valencia, but they beat Alaves, they beat Real Sociedad, did well in the Copa del Rey again. Sevilla, they beat them as well. Beat Atletico Madrid, let's not forget, in December, who just recently beat Madrid as well. It's a talented team, and it's obviously going up against one of the most difficult managers in La Liga at the moment being Ernesto Valverde. You look at their team, right? Nico Williams, Sanchez, Herrera, so many really, really good talents. I honestly don't think this will be an easy game to play at all. I think it'll be one of the more difficult games that we will face in the Copa del Rey. And most importantly, let's not forget the fact that 2 years ago, they are the team that really did cause a lot of struggles for this Barcelona side. 2 years ago, I think in 2022 or 2021, this is the game. What a terrible game this was. This was the game when Ansu Fati once again got injured, but this was a game where Athletic Club beat us with an Inigo Martinez winner as well. It's hilarious. But this is a team that has beaten us in the past. They know how to play against us. They're very, very talented. They have a lot of really good talents on their teams. And most importantly, I think the biggest threat of them all is Nico Williams. And against a really shaky defense that Barcelona has right now, having a player like Nico Williams up against you is the worst thing that you could possibly have. But what we have right now is that momentum. We have something that we really do need, which is a good result in a difficult stadium. And we just gotta hope that the next run of games that we have, which are, to be honest, all going to be really, really difficult against teams like Athletic Club, against teams like Villarreal after this. It's all going to be very difficult, but hopefully we can get a good run going until this very important clash against Napoli, and hopefully we can progress from there, compete in the league, compete in the Champions League, and be the best team that we can possibly be. Now, thanks for watching that video, and of course, if you did enjoy this content and have any thoughts on today's game, do leave it in the comment section below. Thanks as always, and Visca el Barça.